planning a Disney World trip for the first time, or honestly, even if it's been a few years since your last trip, there are so many things that have changed. And a lot more planning now goes into a Disney vacation than most people expect. And honestly, Disney World is one of those vacations where a little bit of planning can completely change your experience. Because if you go in with no plan at all, you can easily end up overwhelmed, exhausted, spending way more than you expected, and waiting in long lines all day. But if you know what to prioritize and what to book ahead of time, your trip can go so much smoother. So in this video, I'm walking you through the entire Disney World planning process, step by step, from choosing when to go, all the way through arriving at your resort and starting your vacation. We're going to cover how to choose the best time to visit, how many park days you should do, how to choose the right resort, dining reservations, lightning lanes, packing tips, transportation, and a lot of the mistakes people make that can completely affect their trip. So if you're planning a Disney World vacation and don't know where to start, this video is for you. And real quick, if you're new here, hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm a travel agent specialized in Disney destinations and a former Disney cast member. And I make Disney planning videos to help you plan smarter Disney trips so you can spend less time waiting and more time actually enjoying the parks. Alright, let's get into it. The very first thing you need to decide when planning a Disney trip is when you actually want to visit. And honestly, this decision affects almost everything else about your trip. It affects crowds, weather, pricing, special events, ride availability, and even your overall experience. So first, let's talk about crowds. There really isn't a completely dead time at Disney anymore, but there are definitely times that are much busier than others. Some of the busiest times of the year are Christmas and New Year's, Thanksgiving week, spring break, fall break, and most holiday weekends. And if you travel during those times, just expect higher wait times, more crowded transportation, and overall busier parks. Now, some of the lower crowd periods are usually January after Marathon weekend, parts of February, early to mid-May, late August, and September. But then weather becomes another huge factor. Summer at Disney World is hot, and I don't just mean warm, I mean very hot, extremely humid, and afternoon storms almost every day. So while summer can work really well for families with school schedules, you definitely need to be prepared for the heat. And then winter and early spring usually have more comfortable temperatures, but you can also get random cold fronts. You also want to consider school schedules, work schedules, holidays, Epcot festivals, Halloween and Christmas parties, Run Disney events, and even hurricane season if you're traveling late summer or early fall. So before you book anything, really think about what matters most for your family. Lower crowds, better weather, cheaper prices, or holiday offerings. Because there's really no perfect time to go. Every season has its pros and cons. And before you get too deep into planning, you also need to decide on a realistic budget. Because Disney vacations can get expensive very quickly. You're not just paying for the hotel, tickets, and flights. You also have lightning lanes, dining, souvenirs, transportation, snacks, airport transfers, and all those little extras that really add up. So deciding your budget early helps narrow down your resort options, your trip length, ticket types, dining plans, and overall expectations for the trip. As a very general rule of thumb, I usually recommend budgeting somewhere around $1,000 per person over the age of 3. Now, of course, that number can go up or down a lot depending on how long you're staying, what resort category you choose, and how luxurious or budget-friendly you want to be on your trip. A short weekend trip at a value resort is going to look very different from a 10-day deluxe resort vacation. But overall, that's usually a pretty realistic starting point for most Disney trips. Next, you need to decide how long you actually want your vacation to be. And this is something people underestimate all the time, because Disney World is huge. There are 4 parks, over 20 resorts, the Disney Spring Shopping District, 2 water parks, transportation systems, and honestly, trying to cram everything into a super short trip can get exhausting really fast. For most first-time visitors, I usually recommend somewhere around 6 to 7 nights. That gives you enough time to experience all 4 parks, have a slower pace, and not feel completely rushed. And I also highly recommend building in rest days. A really good rule is for every 2 to 3 park days, add in some type of slower day or break. That could be a pool day, Disney Springs, resort hopping, a water park, or even just sleeping in. Once you know how long you're staying, then you can decide how many park days you want. Most people do 4 park days for 1 day in each park, but if you have a longer trip, you may want to repeat days at Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. You also need to decide if you want base tickets or park hopper tickets. Base tickets mean 1 park per day, and park hopper tickets mean you can visit multiple parks in the same day. Personally, if you have room in your budget for park hopper tickets, I do usually recommend them. Disney can honestly be very unpredictable between the weather, ride breakdowns, and even entertainment cancellations. So having the flexibility to hop to another park can really help if your original plans don't work out exactly how you expected. It It also gives you more opportunities to go back and experience anything you may have missed earlier in your trip. Now let's talk about choosing a Disney resort. This is honestly one of the biggest decisions of the entire trip. Disney resorts are divided into value resorts, moderate resorts, and deluxe resorts. Value resorts are the most budget-friendly option and usually have the strongest Disney theming, which makes them especially great for families traveling with younger kids. Just keep in mind that these are the smallest standard rooms on Disney property, and they also tend to have thinner walls and busier atmospheres compared to the higher resort categories. Moderate resorts are usually much quieter and more relaxing than the value resorts, and they also offer more amenities like table service restaurants, lounges, and larger room sizes. But one thing to keep in mind is that most of the moderate resorts are very large and spread out. So if you're staying at Caribbean Beach, Port Orleans Riverside, or Coronado Springs, I highly recommend booking a preferred location room if it fits in your budget, because it can save you a lot of walking throughout your trip. Deluxe resorts are the nicest on property, and they typically have the best transportation, amenities, and dining options. When choosing a resort, think about your budget, transportation, location, room size, theming, and amenities. Transportation is a huge factor. Some resorts have Skyliner access, monorail access, walking paths, boats, or only buses, and that can completely change your trip experience. For example, Skyliner resorts are incredibly convenient for Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and staying closer to the parks also makes midday breaks much easier. Once you choose your resort and tickets, then you can decide if you want any add-ons. That could include a Disney dining plan, Memory Maker, travel protection, park hopper, or water park options. Memory Maker is Disney's photo package, and honestly, if you love ride photos and family pictures, it can absolutely be worth it. The photo quality is honestly amazing, and if this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip or a really special family vacation, I personally think paying a little extra for high-quality photos you'll have forever is absolutely worth it. Travel protection is also something I personally recommend considering because Disney trips are expensive and life happens. Once you've decided all of that, it's finally time to actually book your trip. If you're booking a Disney vacation package, Disney only requires a small $200 deposit up front, and then the remaining balance is due later. You also want to link everyone in your My Disney Experience app, add a room request, and make sure all your information is correct, especially if you added on travel protection. Disney allows you to add a variety of room requests ahead of time. Things like resort sections, crib or pack-in plays, or whether you prefer a bathtub versus a walk-in shower. Now just keep in mind that room requests are never guaranteed, but Disney will always do their best to accommodate them based on availability at check-in. Now this is very important. The My Disney Experience app basically runs your entire vacation now. You'll use it for lightning lanes, dining reservations, mobile ordering food, maps, wait times, photo pass, resort information, and honestly so much more. So do not wait until your trip to learn the app. Get familiar with it ahead of time because it will make your trip way less stressful. Next, you'll want to book flights, airport transportation, or rental cars. If you're flying into Orlando International Airport, a lot of people use Mears Transportation, Uber, Lyft, or rental cars. And if you're staying at Disney, you really don't need a rental car unless you specifically want one or plan on visiting places outside of the Disney bubble. Disney transportation is pretty solid overall and can usually get you anywhere you need to go fairly easily. If you need strollers, scooters, or wheelchairs, you'll want to reserve those ahead of time because availability can become limited. I also highly recommend renting mobility devices from a third-party company instead of directly through Disney. If you rent through Disney, you can't reserve them ahead of time, so availability is completely based on what's left once you arrive at the parks. Disney rentals also can't leave the parks or Disney Springs, so if you need your scooter or wheelchair at your resort during transportation or throughout your entire vacation, you'll definitely want to rent from a third-party company instead. And personally, the most reliable and convenient rental company in Orlando, in my opinion, is Scooterbug. They're currently the only company allowed to leave rentals directly with Disney Resort Bell Services. So instead of coordinating delivery times with a representative, you can simply pick up and drop off your rental right at Bell Services at your resort, which makes the whole process so much easier. Next is Magic Bands. Now these are definitely not required, but they are still super convenient and honestly make the trip feel a lot more immersive. You can use them for park entry, lightning lanes, photo pass, room entry, dining plan credits, and charging purchases. You can usually order discounted Magic Bands through your Disney account before your trip, but honestly, if you care more about design selection, I actually recommend waiting until you get to Disney World to buy one. The gift shops usually have way more unique Magic Band designs than what's available online ahead of time. Now it's time to loosely map out your trip. This does not need to be minute by minute yet, but you should decide which parks to visit each day, your rest days, Disney Springs Day, dining plans, and general transportation vacation plans. And this is also where crowd strategy comes in. For example, Epcot gets much busier on weekends when there's a festival going on, Magic Kingdom weekends can be rough, and Mondays tend to be busier too, and Hollywood Studios usually needs an earlier start time if you don't buy lightning lanes there. If you're staying at a Disney resort, one of the biggest perks is that you can book dining reservations for your entire trip all at once starting 60 days before your check-in date. But if you're staying off property, you can only book one day at a time. And honestly, that's one of the biggest advantages to staying on Disney property, because some dining reservations disappear very quickly, especially Cinderella's Royal Table, Space 220, Ohana, Topolino's, Character Dining, and Popular Lounges. At this time, you can also book dessert parties, tours, Bippity Boppity Boutique, and numerous other enchanting extras. Before your trip, you need to understand rope drop and have a solid lightning lane strategy, because this can literally save you hours in line. Rope drop means arriving at the park before opening and knocking out major rides first thing in the morning, while wait times are low. And honestly, the first 2 hours of the day are usually the best time in the parks. If you're staying at a Disney resort, you also get access to early entry, which allows Disney resort guests to begin riding attractions 30 minutes before official park opening. And honestly, during busy times of the year, taking advantage of early entry rope drop can be a complete game changer for wait times. And if you want help planning your mornings, I do have a full video posted on exactly when to arrive at each Disney World park, where I break down arrival times, rope drop strategies, and transportation tips to help get you there on time and maximize your morning. Lightning Lane booking windows open 7 days before check-in for Disney Resort guests and 3 days before for everyone else. Now, there are currently 3 different types of Lightning Lane options at Disney World. You've got Single Pass, Multi-Pass, and Premier Pass. So let's quickly break down the difference between all 3, because this can definitely feel confusing at first. First are Single Passes. These are separate individual purchases for Disney's most in-demand attractions across the 4 parks. Currently, Single Pass attractions include Tron Light Cycle Run, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, Rise of the Resistance, and Avatar Flight of Passage. When you purchase a single pass, it only gives you one Lightning Lane entry for that specific attraction. Next is Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, which is what most people are referring to when they talk about buying Lightning Lanes. Multi-Pass allows you to book Lightning Lanes throughout the day for most attractions in the park. However, it does not include those top-tier single pass rides I just mentioned. With Multi-Pass, you can pre-book 3 Lightning Lane selections ahead of time before your trip. Then once you scan into your first Lightning Lane on your park day, you can continue booking additional selections throughout the day, one at a time. And honestly, this is usually the best overall Lightning Lane option for most families. Then lastly, there's Premier Pass. This is the most expensive Lightning Lane option, but it basically combines the benefits of both systems together. Premier Pass gives you one Lightning Lane entry to every attraction in the park that has Lightning Lane access, including the attractions that normally require a single pass purchase. So it's definitely the most convenient option, but also by far the most expensive. I also have a whole separate video that goes much more in depth on Lightning Lanes, including how to book them, the best strategies to use, and which parks they're most worth purchasing for. So definitely check that out if you want a much more deeper breakdown of how Lightning Lanes work. And as a general rule of thumb, if you only have room in your budget to buy multi-pass for one park, I highly recommend prioritizing Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom has the most rides and attractions out of all 4 parks, so having Lightning Lanes there can make a huge difference in how much you're able to get done throughout the day. Now that you've booked your dining reservations, enchanting extras, and Lightning Lanes, you can create your more detailed park itinerary. Things like arrival times, rope drop strategies, Lightning Lane return times, dining reservations, firework plans, and transportation timing. And please build in breaks, especially if you're visiting in summer. A few weeks before your trip, start creating your packing list. Some essentials I highly recommend are portable chargers, cooling towels, fans, very comfortable shoes, ponchos, compact umbrellas, reusable water bottles, and sunscreen. And if you need to order anything, do it early. If you want to make packing easier, I've linked all of my go-to Disney park essentials, like my favorite portable chargers, fans, cooling towels, water bottles, and rain gear in my Amazon storefront down below. Disney vacation packages are typically due 30 days before your check-in date, but room-only reservations work differently and are usually due at check-in. A few days before your trip, complete online check-in in through the app. At that time, you can also add a credit card, check room status, and set up Magic Mobile. And finally, arrival day. My biggest tip, do not overplan your first day. Travel days can be exhausting, so I don't recommend jumping into a full-blown theme park day the minute you arrive. A much better arrival day usually looks like exploring your resort, Disney Springs, pool time, Skyliner rides, a nice dinner, or a water park. And if you have the Disney dining plan, you can start using your credits immediately on your check-in day. And before we wrap up, here are a few of the biggest Disney mistakes people make. Sleeping in every day, not learning lightning lanes or the Disney app beforehand, overbooking dining reservations, underestimating transportation time, not taking breaks, wearing uncomfortable shoes, and trying to do way too much. You do not need to do everything to have an amazing trip. And honestly, that's probably the biggest thing I want you to take away from this video. Disney World can feel overwhelming at first, but once you understand how the planning process works, it becomes so much easier. A little bit of planning really does go a long way. If this video helped you out, make sure to tap like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment down below with any Disney planning questions you have. You can also follow me on all my other platforms where I post Disney tips every single day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.